Greetings, friends, family, and fellow commanders. Welcome to a special episode of the SHEPARD Chronicles, outlining the course used for the SRV Endurance Challenge at Waypoint 26, known as Red River Run. This video will give a brief outline of the course in preparation for the race. It is by no means intended as a video to display canyon racing in ship launch fighters, but rather to give an overview of the course used later in our SRVs as part of the SHEPARD mission. If you have referred to the course map, you may notice the race has been separated into two separate heats. This was done to make sure we can accommodate as many commanders as possible during the main race. The first preliminary heat departs from the starting point and covers checkpoints 1 through 3. This heat is an optional preliminary run. The winning commander of the prelim heat will be given a 5-minute time deduction assessed upon completion of the main event. The main event departs from checkpoint 3 and proceeds to the finish line at checkpoint 8, which includes the Forge, Twin Sisters, the Badlands, Meager Path, Doppelganger Crater, the Golden Plains, and Death Valley. Commanders will race in a 6-hour endurance challenge competing for the ultimate honor, SHEPARD Surveyor I. The winning commander will also be allowed to name the planet, and a custom SHEPARD Surveyor patch will be ordered with the commander's name included. Commanders will be allowed one replacement SRV during the duration of the main event. If a commander destroys an SRV, he or she must return to the previous checkpoint and deploy the backup SRV. Any commander who destroys his primary and replacement SRV is disqualified from the remainder of the race. I would now like to do a quick fly-through of the course and describe its various legs and checkpoints. The formal starting point for the prelim heat of the SHEPARD SRV Endurance Race at Red River Run, Split River Canyon, is actually a narrow strip of the moon's surface in between two linear mountain ranges. Its axial orientation aligns exactly with the rotation of the moon, and therefore features remarkable, quote, giant rises and nebula rises. In other words, looking down the canyon, commanders will see the sister moon, the gas giant, and or the nearby planetary nebula. The length of Split River Canyon leading to checkpoint 1 is smooth and short, no more than 10 kilometers. Looking toward checkpoint 1, commanders will notice the red hue of Elbow Canyon beyond the drop-off. Elbow Canyon is a slowly curving canyon moving toward the left. Commanders should be cautious in Elbow Canyon as there is no consistent directional heading to keep orientation. As such, commanders must rely on the tan-colored canyon edges to stay oriented and on track. The canyon is separated into 3 segments by narrow mountain ranges that extend into the canyon. The last ridge within the canyon, commanders will find a recessed pass with either a left or right course that slices through the ridge. Traversing either of these passes will speed commanders' pace, eliminating the need to climb the mountain. Once through this pass, commanders will have arrived at Checkpoint 2 and the start of the Red River Run. The longest leg of the race, Red River Run, is a unique landscape littered with small plateaus and dramatic mountains. The race course derives its name from this canyon because of its difficult navigation, beautiful vistas, and overwhelming sublimity. Commanders will notice a flat base with which to drive their SRVs through the canyon, making efforts to avoid unnecessary climbs. The flat base forms a maze through which commanders need to navigate, cautious to always maintain direction. It is easy to get disoriented in Red River Run, so commanders are encouraged to watch their heading as to not backtrack their route. The leg is 100 kilometers long and ends at a cliff drop-off at Checkpoint 3. The Forge is the starting location of the main event race of Red River Run, which covers checkpoints 3 through 8. Immediately after departure, commanders must climb their way out of Red River Run and reach the large, dried riverbed known as the Forge. This leg of the race features a flat surface through which commanders should be able to sprint at high speeds without too many disruptions. There are no noticeable rocks or boulders, as the ancient rivers must have carried them away into the nearby valley. The landscape of the Forge features a few small dried riverbeds, but its most distinguishable feature is a long fault line running parallel to the course. If a commander loses sight of this fault line, it is suggested to maintain a consistent heading, as there is no other landscape features or landmarks with which to orient. In the distance, commanders may notice the drop-off down into Checkpoint 4, the Valley of the Twin Sisters. Perhaps the most recognizable and stunning vista of the entire race, the Twin Sisters are a pair of tan-capped mountains flanking the course. As commanders approach the ridge leading into the valley, there will be a large tan mountain to the left and a pointier tan mountain further into the distance on the right. Moreover, and perhaps most distinguishable, are a smaller pair of red, flat-topped mesas. Commanders should aim to split the mesas down the middle at Checkpoint 4 and maintain that heading into the Badlands, seen far in the distance. One of the more treacherous legs of the race, the Badlands, features an endless landscape of rough terrain indistinguishable from the other. Moreover, the Badlands are the widest part of the race course, so commanders are encouraged to pay careful attention not to drift off course. There are a few remarkable landmarks in the Badlands, in particular toward its end. Commanders should stay on course through the desolate landscape, making their way to Checkpoint 5 and Meager Path. On the right, commanders should begin to notice a smooth but steep, discolored cliff face. This is Checkpoint 5 and the entrance into Meager Path. The shortest leg of the race course, Meager Path is also the deepest and most narrow. The beginning of Meager Path at checkpoint 5 is at the same latitude as its end at checkpoint 6. This indicates that the canyon is aligned exactly with the moon's rotation. Similar to the start at Split River Canyon, commanders will be greeted by a remarkable gas giant and nebula rising in the distance. The canyon itself is fast and slightly downhill, so commanders looking to make up ground will find ample opportunity here. Commanders should note the coordinates in their SRV, as there is little warning as to the location of the checkpoint. For the keen-eyed, commanders may notice a sharp cliff face 20 meters high in the middle of the canyon just following a large clearing. This is checkpoint 6 and the end of the Meager Path. Commanders must reach these coordinates before attempting to climb out of the canyon toward Doppelganger Crater, as those departing prematurely will end up on the wrong side of this behemoth double crater. One of the most recognizable surface features of the moon from orbit are a pair of identical intertangled craters just beyond Meager Path. These craters, known as Doppelganger Crater, are deep, dark, and cavernous. They should not be traveled lightly, as commanders could easily become trapped with little hope of escape. For adventurous commanders looking to avoid the trap and gain ground, they may attempt to jump the canyons due to the light gravitational force of this small ice moon. Beware, those who cannot cross this gaping hole, however, will likely suffer a delay in their times trying to escape, not to mention damage to their SRV. For more cautious commanders, there's an optional alternative that goes around the crater to the right. While this path is certainly longer, it is much safer and smoother. What is lost in distance may be gained in overall speed. Choose wisely. After a successful completion of Doppelganger Crater, commanders will reach the final checkpoint of the race, Golden Mountain, a tan mountain peak in an impact basin of a crater. After Golden Mountain, commanders enter the most arduous and lengthy leg of the race. This final leg begins with a canyon jump from Ford's Ledge into a seemingly benign flat landscape known as the Golden Plains. The Golden Plains form the larger region encompassing the Golden River, a dried-up riverbed of water, sulfur, and carbon dating back 960 million years. While there still are active water geysers on this moon, remnants of a more fertile and liquid past, the Golden Plains have not been known to have active volcanism since the moon's distant past. That being said, commanders can still enjoy the peace provided by the meandering, winding paths of these golden yellow riverbeds scattered across the plains. Following the Golden Plains and the Sickle Fissure, commanders enter the final portion of the course. It is no easy task. Death Valley is an incredible, rough, disorienting patch blocking access to the finish line at Working Man's Ridge. The rocks vary in color from reds, grays, and tans, making visual wayfinding difficult. Moreover, steep and sharp rock formations litter the surface. At this point, commanders will be exhausted and anxious, and although this is a sprint to the finish line, with commanders racing for the flag, proceed with extreme caution. The finish line is located atop Working Man's Ridge, at the center of the Sickle Fissure. The first commander to reach the finish line after this enduring race will be crowned the winner and SHEPARD Surveyor I. Godspeed, commanders.